Off the Track, brought to you by Windsor Park Stud, and we are talking with Brent Taylor, the man who owns one of the oldest established commercial studs in New Zealand, Trelawney, and let's start there. 1930, set up by Seton Otway.
Yeah, early 30s, a couple of hundred acres to start with. Was a dairy farm, I understand. And from what I can piece together, it was owned by, the Trelawney name came from a family from England, and they had a number of farms, Trelawney being one of them.
Okay.
So the farm sort of developed from a couple of hundred acres, so we've got now about 470 acres.
Yeah. It must have inspired you when you, just the history of the place to be involved. You know, you go back to some of these fine names that we talk about, Tulloch, you know, all the famous.
Fantastic.
Foxbridge.
It is a wonderful farming property, and I'm particularly privileged to have a farm with a history. But from a farmer's point of view, for guys that like to farm, grow grass and things like that, it consistently gets great weights for lambs, really finishes cattle well, and produces good bone quality horses. So,
which is the mix that you still use to this day, don't you? That the sheep and the cattle, you use it for pasture management, etc.
Yes.
But also from a business point of view.
Yeah, it's a farming property that lends itself to horses, and that great strip of land all the way through, including your sponsor's land, Windsor Park, all the way down.
Yeah, I call it the stud mile, basically, isn't it? It's just a run of studs that are there for a reason.
It's quality horses come all the way through there. You know, check a stud across the road. Jim Campbell, a great friend of ours, wonderful breeder, wonderful trainer. He's obviously established there. The Pike's just over the road, just up the road. You know,
you just go bang, 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 Al Ganador right through.
Yeah,
you know?
And you know, Raffles just recently. You know, they've had a great run. So it's a wonderful farming country. And
well, let's talk about Tulloch. Foxbridge, outstanding sire.
Absolutely, and Foxbridge, and I think when you look back at the history of a stallion, he was the Sir Tristram, the Danehill of his era and generation. And one of the stories I like to relate to people when they come around and have a look at the farm and see his headstone is that one day in Auckland at the races, Foxbridge progeny won 6 of the 8 races. Yeah. They won the 2-year-old race, he won the open mile, he won the cup race of the day. You know, he was just a dominant stallion. Yeah. And, you know, even though he didn't leave a Melbourne Cup winner from Trelawney, 6 of the 7 Melbourne Cup winners from Trelawney were from either Foxbridge mares or granddaughter of Foxbridge.
Granddaughter. And that is the key. 7 winners of the Melbourne Cup have a direct relationship with Trelawney stud.
It's remarkable, and it's something I don't think we'll ever see again. You know, if you look at that era from the late 40s to the early 60s, in one 12-year period, 5 of them came from Trelawney. And the foal crop, I suppose, was Australia and New Zealand. I'm guessing at that stage might have been 8,000 or 10,000 foals. Yeah. Now, for a winner of the Melbourne Cup, there's a foal crop of a couple of 100,000 foals worldwide, because they'll come from everywhere and anywhere.
Yeah, and they will. And of course, the impact. So we might, if we get a chance, we'll talk about the impact of the imported horses coming through. Alcomedes. Now, both Foxbridge Alcomedes are buried, and so too the ashes of Seton Otway are there. Is that right?
I'm not sure. That's something you probably have to ask Jim. That's never been been
I thought
related.
I read somewhere where there was between the 2 horses that's where they laid the ashes.
They could well have. Yeah, I'd have to ask Jim that. But we've got Kingdom Bay there as well. Yeah. And we talk about Jack. We talked about Jack O'Brien.
And you stood Kingdom Bay.
We stood Kingdom Bay, and he deserves his role there as well, because he was the first colonial bred stallion to be a champion sire in New Zealand.
There is a link, because, as I say, we go from the Otway family, from Seton into Jim, into the Holmes of Court. But one of those horses of significance for Holmes of Court was a horse called Silver Knight, who won the Melbourne Cup. He came out on that first Tuesday and was purchased by Holmes of Court to take back to stand at Hastbury Stud.
Silver Knight or Black Knight?
Silver Knight.
Yes.
Silver Knight. Yeah. So we got footage of Silver Knight. This is the 71. It's a fair way from home here, and get your glass. It is a sign of age, Brent. You have to put the glass on. Have you ever thought about getting contacts? You ever thought of getting contacts?
Not contacts. I've had the eyes, laser thing. I've considered that, but I've decided against it.
This is the long straight here of Silver Knight. Now, the significance being, is, ladies and gentlemen, is that Silver Knight went to stand at Hastbury Stud and then sired Black Knight, who came out and won the Melbourne Cup of the year of 80 something or other, wasn't it?
Yes, mid-80s.
Mid-80s. Now, when Troy Corporation, the Otway family were involved, Silver Knight.
There he goes, a long straight, isn't it?
It is a very long straight. We probably could have done with just a couple of 100 metres, but nice that we get the opportunity of seeing Silver Knight win here, and the link into Black Knight, so Silver Knight taking out the cup, and of course purchased by Homes of Court, the Standard Heytesbury. He's produced then Black Knight when the opportunity of Trelawney, which was caught up in the Troy Corporation, wasn't it?
Well, I think it was the whole public company situation, and obviously Windsor Park and Trelawney Stud got involved with Troy Corporation, and
when that unravelled, the opportunity came, and the property was sold, purchased by Robert Holmes of Court, which is a sad story in some way. Obviously, he had that link too with, as I say, Silver Knight, Black Knight, that he died as a young man too.
Yes, he did, and he was obviously an enormously charismatic businessman and very successful guy. And they had a stud farm in Melbourne. And after they bought Trelawney Stud, they moved the mares from their Melbourne farm to Trelawney, along with Success Express.
Yep.
And I think it was Is It True, the other stallion. There was two there that came over. Then when Robert passed away, our understanding was that the bank said we need to reduce the debt levels for the business to continue to operate, because they had a massive pastoral business and stud farms and wine industry and obviously theatres in London, a lot of different fingers and an enormous number of pies. So the stud farm in New Zealand ceased to become,
part of the core business.
And a necessary asset. So they chose to offer it for sale. We were able to negotiate to purchase the farm privately prior to auction, and we tried at that same stage to buy all the bloodstock as well.
Because we had an auction on site. Joe Walls did the sale with Peter Kelly.
Yeah, it was.
In fact, I think they brought someone over from Australia. It was an association.
Mark Pilkington.
That's right, Mark.
Yeah, Mark Pilkington. These characters continue to revolve around in life.
Goodwood bloodstock, I think, with Perth base. It all comes back to me now.
Yeah, exactly. So those characters continue to come back. But so we tried to buy all the bloodstock, unable to do that. Couldn't come to an agreement with them. Tried to secure Success Express, again unable to do so, primarily because they wanted to continue to use them. I understand. So he was sold to an investor up in a guy called Peter Moran up in Queensland, and then sent to Whiddon Stud, in which they continued to use them up in there. So we went to the sale, bought a couple of mares, some with success.
But you still had the property at Waimanu, and so in the early 90s, we're talking 92, 93, you took over the operation?
93.
93, you took over the operation. You had that property at Waimanu. Did your parents sell that or retain it? Or
They kept the property. We shipped up all the bloodstock, and to be fair, most of it wasn't up to the standard of the property we now own. So we farmed our way out of that. There's only one family continues to remain, and that's the Eastern Joy, Martine, Michelle, Purno, Martini Red family.
We'll talk about that very shortly, because that's a wonderful story, that 4 generations
yes,
that you've raised.
Yeah. So she's the only one that remained. The rest were rubbish, got rid of them.
Okay. Dance floor, you started with him, your first stallion that you syndicated. You talked about him, syndicating him.
Yep. I went to America, bought him through Mick Preston. Again, Preston family, we've got involvement with them as well in the meat business. But through Mick, and we flew up to California to have a look at him. Went up to Solvang, I think the name of the place was, where the horse was being spelled there, and it was a lovely horse, great style of horse, and were able to buy him. MC Hammer owned him at the time, and who was obviously a fairly sort of notorious gangster rapper type sort of guy, and got mad keen on the race. No,
never met him. Okay.
He was experiencing some financial difficulties at the time, and D. Wayne Lucas, who trained him, I think he thought a lot more of the horse and didn't fancy our offer, but found no others, and that's it. Go get rid of it. I'll take my loss, because I think he obviously lost a bit of money from the Mr. MC Hammer, but he was a reasonably successful stallion.
Yeah, he was dam sire of Golden Slipper, wasn't he?
Yes, he was, Dance Hero.
Yeah, Dance Hero.
Yeah, so he's been quite a reasonable dam sire. He left O'Malley's Boy and one or two others, but so he was reasonable. Yeah. And but the quality of mares we gave him, in hindsight, because we were just starting off, wasn't certainly what a horse would get today.
You've had a succession of, not a succession, you had a few. Al Akbar, Kingdom Bay were established horses when you got them, standing at Trelawney.
Well, Kingdom Bay certainly was. Al Akbar we bought and syndicated, and he was primarily because of the Success Express. Yep. And we bred some reasonable, one or two nice horses by him, but
a handy sire. Van Nistelrooy.
Yeah, Van Nistelrooy. He's probably been one of the better, from our personal point of view, sires. He was a horse that we did a syndication arrangement with. So we went through a stage of owning stallions, and then because the shuttle program got so busy and stallion prices got so high, we thought, well, listen, rather than going investing all our money in stallions, let's follow down the shuttle path and lease and then invest our money into brood mares.
Yep.
So we went through quite an intensive period there of buying quality mares and then just using stallions. And then we also got involved with Rara and How
I was going to say, you formed the Trident Group, is it? The
Triumph Joint Venture. Triumph Joint Venture. Very, very illustrious sort of a name. I think that might have been Ron's idea. So you've got to start with a good name, don't you? Yeah. And,
Little Acorns Grow.
Yeah.
And so you had Van Nistelrooy, Elusive City, but you were involved in others.
Yeah, Big Stone, Last Tycoon.
You're spreading the risk. Is that would be a fair way of describing it?
Yeah, and that, accessing gene stock at a reasonable cost, whilst being able to invest other money into our breeding mares. Carnegie was probably one of the better ones for us as well.
Mm-hmm.
He's obviously produced some good racehorses for us, but he's now turned out to be a wonderful broodmare site.
Yeah, it was actually probably better off left in New Zealand, taken to Australia at hindsight. Huh?
Oh, there's no doubt.
Yeah.
Absolutely no doubt. And stallions tend to find areas that they click.
Yeah. Cape Cross was the same. There's been a succession. We may see that with High Chaparral.
Who knows?
Yeah, who knows?
But, you do find a stallion that clicks within the local gene pool and suits that environment.
Yeah.
And it certainly was the case with Carnegie.
You've had a wonderful run at Trelawney, culminating as we're going to obviously spend a bit of time with Ocean Park, but you've been there 20 years and you have produced 20 individual Group 1 winners. And every year? Every year?
Pretty much every year we've been able to, either ourselves or our clients that we've reared and sold horses for, have produced a Group 1 winner. So, we're enormously proud. And it's nice to be able to stand up and say to your yearling prospective buyers, there's one out there.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure history will tell you there's a Group 1 winner out there. I don't know which one it is. It wouldn't be here. So you just go out there and find it.
So we'll talk about the marketing of yearling shortly. Yeah. I'll take you back to Amalfi, 2001, because this is a nice situation about growing your business, growing your clients. Amalfi, who took out the VRC Derby.
Yeah, it was great. Kieran Moore, who still remains a very close friend of ours, selected Amalfi as a yearling, and for Ron and Judy Wanless up in Queensland, and Peter Moody trained, who had already had a great association with. And the remarkable thing about it is that's probably 15 years ago now. Ron and Judy Wanless still remain very close friends of ours and wonderful clients. We've raced horses together, and of course Kieran and Peter are still instrumental in our business.
So that was the thing, isn't it? Amalfi gets up here, wins the VRC Derby. You meet Judy and Ron Wanless, who's big in the rubbish refuse business up in the Queens. She's ex-Kiwi though. Judy.
Yes, Judy from Auckland, South Auckland.
Yeah.
Used to be a hairdresser, and she's got great Kiwi roots. She loves New Zealand, and she's been a wonderful breeder. But we met Ron and Judy the day of the VRC Derby.
I wondered that. Yeah.
Went down and had a look at Amalfi, and he was only a slip of a horse. He wasn't much of him at all. And I think if you look at the photo, he fits inside the second horse pretty much. Only his nose is the only thing that's longer.
Yeah.
So he won, and we were kindly invited to the celebration dinner where we met Ron and Judy. Our association was basically through Peter and Sarah Moody. But they've turned out to be wonderful friends. And
now they breed, they have horses with you, Lights of Heaven. They bred their own Oaks winner.
Judy's been a wonderful breeder. She's got Lights of Heaven, and they've got another filly, three-quarter sister called Spirit of Heaven now. She's going to win a good race for them. But they've bred Return to Sender, who won a Group 2 race for them as well. Gondolf. I think she's got 4 mares with them. They've all produced black type winners. One has produced 2. So
great stuff, isn't it?
Yeah. So without a handful of mares, quality mares, but she's been a great breeder.
You said you only bought 2 mares up from Waimanu, 2 families, Moonshine Wing 1. But this the Pernod family, Josette Nicole family. Remarkable that you have raced 4 generations of this family, all with success.
Can't sell them, I suppose.
Well, they're not always the best in front, are they?
No. Well, Pernod herself, I took her to the sale, and she was only a slip of a yearling. It couldn't sell her, so we ended up keeping her, and Mike Moroney trained her, and she won 7 or 8 races, including the 2-rack handicap Group 1 weight for age in the spring, which is it's a great effort. And of course, she just left Martini Red, and she's got looks like a very promising horse called Marwood, who's running on Saturday. I see he's ended to a listed race here, so he had 1 start for a win. So it's been a great family, which we've really enjoyed. They're not always the...
Yeah, that was Pernod winning there, the Dubai.
Oh, okay.
There was one day there, Amalfi came out, won, and Pernod won the same day, didn't it?
Yes. We had another filly called Hilla Grace, who ran second in the Maya Classic or something on the same day, a horse we bred, won by La Belladama, who we since got back into as well.
Involved through Deborah Ho and
there was another horse called Spirit of Westbury. And we were there on the day, and I was like, how easy is this? We haven't been going very long, I've been getting all these winners. What are these fellas going on about? Didn't be able to repeat that day ever since.
Yeah, no, I imagine. But exactly. Hey, listen, Martini Red from Perna.
Yeah, it's only a slip of a filly, tiny little thing, but had
size
great length.
doesn't matter.
No, it's there's certainly the size of the fight in the dog rather than the size of the dog. Yeah.
Is it and we'll talk about the marketing of horses, because the Oak Stud do it particularly well too. Their ability to race good horses, because there is be a perception. I think if they all raced in your colours, the good ones, they say, well, you're keeping the best and selling the rest. But honestly, you're actually retaining those horses you can't sell in the market.
Pretty much. Rude Van Slats is a classic example. She was a beautiful foal, and she just got very heavy and a bit turned in. And she came out and she won 2 Group 2s for us and was placed in a Group 1 race. Never had a day's unsoundness in her life. Pretty much, she was for a big heavy mare that didn't have the classic conformation that the market would want to accept. And Martini Red, only a rabbit.
But isn't that the case with fashion? I mean, it is a fashion parade that we're selling. We're selling the square knee, straight through fashion. We're not, in some respect, if the two come together athletic, they make the big serious money. But you've got a problem, conformation-wise. It takes a good judge to see through those faults, doesn't it? Oh,
it does. The market's changed a lot. The good old days at Trentham, you got to take in anything down there. The market was just voracious to buy. And now there's just so many quality yearlings, and the quality of the individuals has just increased so much. You've got to have a pretty special horse to attract a lot of interest. But there are a number of horses in this market today that are not being considered, not on conformation, but on straight on pedigree. They're not by a stallion that...
in favour at the moment, in vogue.
It's very much a fashion industry, so syndicators say, well, I can't syndicate a horse by that stallion.
Put a line through it, walk by.
Yeah, they do. And so they don't always get the opportunity to select what is the better racehorses.
The key for Trelawney, and we've got Vouvray winning the Queensland Oak, you do need to have that exposure, don't you, in Australia?
Yeah, we've raced a number of horses over there, and she was a filly I bred with a good friend of mine from the Philippines, Orchi Santos, and we bought Real Success, who was bred and born at Trelawney, from his owner, Julius Salesi, I think the guy's name was. Anyway, she was a beautiful filly, and I just loved her. So when we went to the market, she was the most expensive filly I think we'd ever bought up until that point, and she went on and won the VRC, won the Queensland Oaks, and she came down and placed in the Caulfield Cup, and she ran sort of in behind Mackivy Diva and Grand Army in the autumn as a 4-year-old, and the BMW and the Ranvet. She struggled to win any more from that day, but accumulated 750 or 800,000 Australian, which was
about $1 million now.
Exactly.
Pesos. You produce one of the best horses. In fact, I forgot until I looked back at his race record how good Wahid was as a 2-year-old.
Yeah, he was a phenomenal, great 2-year-old. And great speed, and for the horse to go on and win the Derby. It was fantastic. You don't see too many. And there was a bit of controversy over the time as to whether he was horse of the year or not. He was probably our best horse that we'd bred till that point. I thought it was had a great talent, enormous will to win.
This is Rory's Harlan. Is that the Raora family?
So Rory's Jestemere.
Yeah, I wonder whether it was... but he was outstanding, and of course, as you say, a lot of thing over whether he should have been horse of the year, having taken out the Derby. But as I say, it wasn't until I looked up that he was... I've forgotten how good he was as a 2-year-old. And he trained on, and obviously... he did keep racing, and I suppose the glamour of Wahid diminished over the years, and they ran the quality out of it from memory of that early two and 3-year-old year.
Yeah, it's hard to run all the way through. He had good speed as a 2-year-old, and to win the Derby was just on sheer ability rather than staying capacity. And there's only so many races a horse can run.
Yeah. Boundless, you talked about the Ansels.
Yeah, great people. Doug was a wonderful guy. He used to buy all our sheep and our cattle, and he was a great stockman. Him and Una had their own separate horses. You could never confuse them. There was one built to her and one built to him. But they bred some great horses over the years, and in the sort of the later years, we bred a number of horses together, and Boundless being one of them.
Here she is taking out the Oaks. Trevor McKee brought her out of the sales for 80,000, and Cherry opted to stay in this one?
Well, Cherry had a syndicate of girls, including Judy Wanless and another Deb Anderson and my mother, 4 of them. Cherry's budget wasn't as as large as the other three could manage.
Yeah.
Anyway, so she set a price, and she really liked Boundless. But anyway, Trevor ended up buying her. And the ironic thing about it is that Cherry then went and bought a share from Trevor.
Yeah.
So she raised 20%. The others could have easily matched whatever Cherry put up, and significantly more if they wanted to. But Cherry ended up with the share, and she was a great race mare for them.
Yeah. The rest, as I say, I actually bought the mother
I
for
know.
Klein Melway. Very good. All right, we will continue the Group 1 run of Trelawney Stud after this break.